Hello， 大家好，欢迎收看《一见军外套》，每周跟您军事外交 talk， 我是向正维。我们今天来到一个风光明媚的岛屿，叫关岛。关岛距离台湾呢，大概只有4个小时的航程，是距离台湾最近的美国领土。但我们来这边毕竟不是来出游的，我来这边做什么呢？原来之前关岛举办了 ReforPac， 叫做部队重返太平洋的演练，到底有哪些精彩的画面？一起来看看。这个部队重返太平洋演练呢，是由美国空军还有美国太空军所共同主办。他们邀集了包括日本、韩国、澳洲还有纽西兰等盟邦一起加入这个空军的大演练，而且范围非常广大哦，从阿拉斯加一路到夏威夷、到关岛、到日本本土，都是他们的演练的范围。他们要演练联合作战、联合后勤，还要演练不同军种之间他们相互支援还有作战的能力，快速部署，还有快速打击。那他们指挥官已经非常明确表达说，他们的目标就是中国解放军。那为什么呢？因为之前呢，解放军他们的2艘航空母舰穿越了第一岛链，来到第一岛链跟第2岛链中间来进行双航舰的演练，其实让关岛是如坐针毡。那关岛它是位于在第2岛链的核心地带，它的北边有一个叫做安德森空军基地，在南边呢有个阿普拉军港。最近他们还把在日本冲绳的陆战队陆续的移到关岛来，你就知道它的重要性有多高。但是呢，它也变成了中国解放军甚至是北韩飞弹的威胁的第一个标靶。他们最近到底是做了哪些工作来进行相关的演练，还有保护他们整个岛屿上面居民的安全，还有当地居民到底怎么想？我们来跟他们的 PCIS， 也就是当地非常知名的智库来进行访谈，来听听看他们怎么说。那我们今天非常荣幸的能够邀请到 PCIS 的 Chair， 就是主席 Mr. Robert Underwood 来跟我们对谈。Hello, Robert.
Hello, good morning. Half a day.
Have a day. We are very honored to be here and to talk to you. And we have several questions for you. The first question is about ReforPac. We know that's a very huge exercise. And could you tell me that what role does Guam play in this area, in this exercise, and what can be carried off from Guam?
There's a lot of planes. Of course, it's a whole Pacific regional exercise, but Guam is in many respects the linchpin of that, as well as Saipan. Because in the contemplation of U.S. military planners, they're forming a sort of a defense arc through the so-called second island chain.
Yes.
And in that, Guam plays an important role, probably the most vital role, yes. I certainly would say. And of course, that also involves the U.S. military trying to establish facilities in Yap and in Palau, who are also considered part of the second island chain. All of that is organized around the capacity to project air power. And not just naval power. So that's why the bases are primarily naval bases. There's some attention to port facilities and things for the Navy, but primarily it's about the projection of air power. And so that means that Guam is a noisier place. And some people don't like that noise, So admittedly, just in the past month, I've heard so many planes flying over my house, which I've never heard before.
Oh, really?
And different kinds of planes. And so they're involving different, of course, air forces from different countries. And in that capacity, it's also trying to establish a framework through which they're sharing some of that so-called burden of defense. But overall, it really points out to me the significance and importance of Guam. And I think that the leadership of Guam and the people of Guam don't really fully appreciate the kind of power and influence they potentially could wield as a result of this vital role that they play.
Yeah, just like you mentioned, because Guam plays so vital role in the second island chain. But according to some news report, that if China invades Taiwan, Guam may also be affected. So has the Guam government or people prepared for this scenario?
No. I think psychologically they think that that we will be involved, and that somehow the U.S. military is telling us that they're planning an enhanced integrated air missile defense system, which will keep the island safe from incoming attacks. The logic of that is all tied to Taiwan, because the assumption, or at least the argument that's given, is that if the PRC invades Taiwan and tries to forcibly bring them into the PRC, then the U.S. will act, and then the Chinese will then attack the nearest U.S. facilities and the central part of the second island chain, which is us. In that sense, Guam used to be known as the tip of the spear. But now I think we're the #1 target. So that's a different sense. And so I think the people of Guam are starting to wake up to that. I think people in Taiwan, of course, are very vulnerable, and they're taking steps to protect themselves. They're establishing shelters. I think in southern parts of Japan, they're building shelters. Nobody's building shelters here. They're offering Guam as a #1 target, and at the same time they're using the so-called defense of Guam as the basis for this $8 billion construction of an air missile defense system, but at the same time they're not doing anything to protect the civilians. It's that is very dispiriting as well. So that's really discouraging, disappointing. Sometimes you get enraged. You admit that sometimes you get angry about it. In conversations with other think tanks that do wargaming, in one conversation I had, they did 24 scenarios on what would happen if China invades Taiwan. And in those 24 scenarios, each one Guam is attacked. So
100% possibilities.
Yeah, so there's that appears to be #1, and yet the nature of the defense that's contemplated is mostly designed to protect the air assets of the United States, rather than designed to protect the actual people of Guam.
So the missile defense system is to protect the U.S. military base only? Not to
Well,
protect
no,
civilians?
they're saying it's going to protect all of us. But the reality is that air missile defense system is that if in fact it was impervious to incoming Chinese missiles, why do they need to build air bases somewhere else? And the reason why they are building air bases somewhere else is because they know that it's not 100%, and they need to divert and disperse their air assets. And then even in places with mature systems like that, air defense systems like Israel or the Ukraine, they're building shelters. Here in Guam, they're throwing all their eggs into this missile defense basket, and letting the people of Guam feel pretty vulnerable.
So has people done anything to protect themselves, like to form a civilian defense group or something?
Well, there's under U.S. federal law, there's a department called Homeland Security.
Yes.
And so it's like civil defense, so they'll give you warnings and things like that. And they say they're in close coordination with the military. But the actual, where are you going? I mean, if you're getting a missile attack and it's going to happen in 10 minutes, what are you going to do? You have no place to go. You're just going to go home. And Guam is a pretty small place. I mean, it's not like you can just attack a military facility and not. We all live near military facilities. I think everybody on the island lives within 5 to 10 miles of a military base. So how you can't separate that. We are all vulnerable.
Okay, and we know that Taiwan and the U.S. don't have a formal relationship. I mean, we don't have diplomatic ties. But is there anything that we can do to enhance the the security cooperation between Guam and Taiwan?
I have to say that the people of Guam are really favorably disposed to the people of Taiwan. I have many strong relationships, and in my years of public service, I've visited Taiwan as a member of Congress, and also in my time as president of the university, established relationships. In order to understand this, I think people of Guam need to understand what's going on in Taiwan, and the people of Taiwan need to understand what's going on in Guam. Yeah. You know, I mean, if you're in Taiwan, they need to know. People in Taiwan need to know that they're betting the people of Guam on your security. Yes. And I don't think they understand that. Okay. I don't think they understand that. So hopefully through that process, we can establish not just greater lines of communication, but try to work towards a more peaceful world, a more peaceful solution.
好，那刚刚很开心的能够跟 Underwood 对谈之后，我们接下来要跟他们的 co-chair， 他们的共同主席 Mr. Kenneth Cooper 来进行我们下一轮的访问。Hello, Mr. Cooper。
你好。
Oh, you can speak in Mandarin.
一点，很高兴认识你。
That's great. Okay, let's back to our topic today because we know there's a huge military exercise called ReforPac. And could you tell me that what Guam played in this in this exercise?
Sure. So Resolute Forces Pacific, ReforPac. This is a department level exercise. And Guam's role is pretty crucial in that. I think Guam sits at the center of the second island chain, yes. Right? And really what this exercise is about is how to project air power in a dynamic environment, right? And how to work with joint force allies and partners, U.S. allies and partners, on something they call interoperability, right? So how can they work together and sort of, essentially Guam is being used for the contingency of war rehearsal.
So do you see more like bombers presence recently?
So it's quite interesting because now the Air Force, for example, is moving to something called agile combat employment. So there used to be something called continuous bomber presence, where there will always be bombers here. Now it's more, the goal of the United States in today's geopolitical environment is to be strategically predictable, but tactically unpredictable, if you want to say it like that. Yeah.
Okay, because according to news, China attacked Guam when it faced Taiwan. So, in your opinion, has Guam prepared for this scenario?
I think we need to do a lot more. Unlike Taiwan and certain islands in Japan, yes. There's a lack of civilian infrastructure for protection in the case of a conflict. And so for me, as goes Taiwan, so goes Guam. So I think Guam and Taiwan are very much linked together in regards to war and kinetic conflict. We need to be talking to each other more.
Can we talk more about the vital role Guam played in the second island chain? Because not only the Air Force Base and Naval Base, we all know that the U.S. is moving the Marines from Okinawa to Guam. Right. So how Guam can become even more vital role here?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that going on, right? So of course, in addition, they opened up Camp Lost, right? It's the newest Marine Corps base to be activated. But in addition to that, there are also agreements, right? So for example, they want to have the Singaporean military bed down some of F-15s here in Guam. That's one example. But then what you also see surrounding Guam, right, is as Guam is central and center of the second island chain, you see that the United States is also making plans for other islands in Micronesia, right? So they're revitalizing airfields they used during World War II in the island of Tinian, right? They're in the country of Palau, for example, there's a TACMOR over the horizon radar system that they're building. There are also plans to expand and elevate the main harbor over there in Palau. And then of course there are similar projects that they want to do in Yap in the Federated States of Micronesia. And so it's not just Guam, but we're seeing the US affiliated Micronesia largely being used as preparatory sites in the case of kinetic conflict with China.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cooper. We learned a lot from you, and thank you again for being on our show.
谢谢。
Thank you so much. 好，以上就是这集的一件军外套，希望对大家都有帮助，也对第二岛链的重要性有更多的了解。有任何疑问呢，欢迎在我们节目下方留言来告诉我们你的想法，也欢迎帮我们订阅、分享跟按赞。那我们就下一集再见喽，拜拜。